Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of CookieCast. Today on CookieCast, it's more Darkest Timeline. So just me talking games, movies, TV, and something from the week when this one was recorded. If you're checking us out on YouTube, then we would massively appreciate it if you could subscribe, like, share, comment, all the good stuff. Word of mouth is an amazing thing. You can subscribe on audio on SoundCloud, iTunes, or wherever you get your podcast. So if you could do that, that'd be amazing. So here we go. This is CookieCast, the Darkest Timeline podcast. Right, it's so much later than I wanted it. Oh man, it's even later than I thought it was. It's so much later than I wanted it to be. I set out with such good intentions, and you know about that phrase, don't you? I was going to be up here by 8 o'clock, 9:30. It's not like I haven't got other shit to do. Anyway, not your problem, so I shouldn't be burdening you with said problem. How you doing? You well? Good. Mixed bag this week. Mixed bag. Some good. Some not so good. If you tune in for the entertainment segment of the podcast, spoilers. That's mostly where the not so good stuff resides. Sorry, it's just one of those weeks, I'm afraid. Right, let's have a look and. So here we go. Off to a flyer. Made the difficult decision to break down my retro gaming collection. I owned pretty much most of the sort of classic game consoles from the Super Nintendo onwards. So I didn't have a NES. Nothing in the Sega range up to there was a Dreamcast. It's, to be fair, it's a mutual collection. Speaking of the Dreamcast, that wasn't mine. I'm not claiming it was, but it was in the collection. It was like a collection of things. So yeah, reached a point where it's like, yeah, it's all well and good having these things, but ultimately they live in boxes in the loft, and have done, been in this house for might be coming up to 4 years. They've been there the entire time. Previous house, some of those consoles will have been in boxes in a box room for years, and it was very much a having them to have them situation. I know that people have like retro gaming collections that they're on display, and I get that, and in an ideal situation where I live in a mansion, that's absolutely what I'm doing with my time. What I have sort of come up against recently is retro gaming is, and this might come as a shock to some people, but retro gaming's all in your head. Saw this thing a few years back that said that memory is HD. Didn't really understand the statement, but below that statement was 2 pictures. It's like, this is how you remember Final Fantasy VII looking. And I was like, yeah, that's what Final Fantasy VII looked like. And then it was like, this is what Final Fantasy VII actually looked like with a picture from the game. It was like, holy smokes. And this is the thing, every time you remember a game being amazing, game being great, having brilliant graphics, oh, you could absolutely play that now. Absolutely play it now. Then you actually go and play it, and it's just, it's soul crushing. I remember having the opportunity to buy Destruction Derby, the first one, on a later machine. So it must have been, I'm going to say PS3. Saw it was available, not loads of money. And I was like, I am absolutely getting that game because I loved that game. Remembering fondly all those fond memories of spending all that time playing that game. Bought it, downloaded it, put it on, and was mortified. The wheels on the cars were hexagonal. And I think that would have been considered to have been an achievement. It was not a good experience. So, we've sort of been in this sort of situation with all the stuff that's been going on recently. It's like, not going to sniff at some money right now. So you've got that, and there's been space issues, and these two sort of worlds collided. So it was suggested to me, what about selling the retro games, consoles and games? And I honestly think I've passed a certain age where previously I was all about keeping absolutely everything. That's just me and my psychological makeup. I'm a hoarder by nature. All of that sort of stuff. For all of you people who have seen a video podcast that shows any part of the room I'm sitting in now will agree. If I told you that this was like an 1/8 or a 10th of the stuff that I actually own. So I've always been that person that has been made for various different reasons. However, I think it coincides with turning 40. I think it coincides with a variety of other things. I have other focuses in my life right now. Things like that. It's like something snapped. And now, I'm like, let's just get rid of everything. Let's get it all out of the house and gone. So, let's get rid of all the retro stuff. Do you know what's really interesting about this? My realisation around retro gaming. Apparently I'm the only person who's had this realisation, because people are going absolutely mental for the retro game consoles and for the retro games. Here's an example. 2 seconds before I was about to press record on this podcast, door opens. Oh, the GameCube. No, I was a big fan of the GameCube. I thought it was a great machine. It was a tiny little box, and it was loads of fun. I have a lot of fond memories of that console and certain specific games. Eternal Darkness, I think it was called, Sanity's Requiem. Amazing game. I'm sure the graphics absolutely stand up today. But really fond memories of that machine and a lot of the games that were on it. But I'm not going to sit down and play it now, for a multitude of reasons. One being, wouldn't even be able to plug it in, because TVs nowadays don't have the ability to take consoles of those generations, so on and so forth. Admittedly, there was a lot of games for the machine, X number of controllers. It was all mint condition, or they're pretty much mint condition. Probably used memory cards, I imagine, so there'll have been some memory cards. And it was that. It was just this big bundle of stuff. GameCube, load of games, controllers and stuff. Oh, the GameCube sold. Alright, okay. Cool, GameCube sold. Nice one. Like little flurry at the end, yeah. Oh yeah, a little bit. It went from I think it was like 362 pounds, I think it was. Oh yeah, it jumped to 382 pounds. Like, oh okay. And then it ended on 421 pounds. It's just absolute insanity. It's not, people, retro's big and all that. So that's one of the multitude of consoles, games and things that are, a lifetime collection that's being broken down currently. But yeah, it's been an interesting old ride, because for all of the time that I've spent just hanging on to these things and collecting these things and absolutely have to have these things and so on and so forth, now that they're all flying out the door, I'm like, cool. So yeah, that's the thing that's happening. It's bleeding into other things though. I have this thing. It's not great. I have this thing about t-shirts. I'm sure I've mentioned this before. I have this thing about t-shirts. Absolutely obsessed with t-shirts. But with any kind of like obsession, every kind of like, I'm not going to use the word addiction, but you know what I mean. Passion. Let's say I have a passion for t-shirts. With anything like that, what you end up with is a shit ton of t-shirts. And this is no exaggeration, because this is the situation I'm faced with at the moment. I could have a full freestanding wardrobe purely for t-shirts alone and still not have enough space. I've had to start using the method where you like roll t-shirts up and then stack them on top of each other to just get them into like various parts of the wardrobe. I've got them on hangers, I've got them in like sections, I've got them rolled up, all of this, and still there isn't enough room. So I've uttered the immortal phrase. I actually found a t-shirt the other day. I was like, that can actually go in the bin, because it had a hole in. And that has then I've reached this point where I'm like, let's just get rid of them all. Presumably, I can only wear maximum 7 t-shirts in a week. Maybe, there's maybe that one day where you've been wearing a t-shirt for the day, and then, you go out in the evening. Maybe 8 t-shirts in a week. Times that by 2, because, like the cycle of getting stuff washed and stuff. That's like 16 t-shirts. So maybe I should just pick 16 t-shirts that are my absolute favourite and just get rid of the rest. I've probably bought 16 t-shirts this year. So, this ties into something I've spoken about recently. I love getting rid of stuff. Like, I love finishing stuff. I was bathing the baby. Not absolutely not a baby, but you know. And she has this stuff that goes in the bath. And I finished the bottle this evening. Highlight of my evening. Not gonna lie. A couple of days ago, I went running in the morning, got back, took my running shoes off, and I was like, oh yeah, boy. Sock had a hole in. Because all I knew was, at the end of the day, those socks weren't going in the wash bin. Absolutely going in the bin. Big fan. Loved it. Maybe this is my new obsession. Maybe it's my new... It's not an addiction. It's absolutely not. It's just... For all this time, all these years, my life up till this point of like absolutely have to hang on to absolutely everything. Suddenly, I'm like, let's just get rid of it all. And some things I struggle with. I keep having this conversation about getting rid of like figures that are in boxes. And I'm like, yeah, I've tried this before and it didn't go well. Maybe now's the time. Absolutely end up getting rid of something that I need at some point. That's how it goes. So yeah, I am now thinking about how I have just said that, like, you know, the highlight of my day was realising I had a hole in my sock. Yeah, that's... Probably need to address that. Anyway, so since we last sat down to chat, I had some time off. So I only worked 2 days last week. Yeah, was half term. I don't get the term thing. I'm going to go out on a limb and say it was half term. So spent time with the old family. Bit of time off together. Good times and all that. I'm not going to lie. I get apprehensive about it. I really do, because it's like, what is this time going to bring? My eldest. Bless her. She, she struggles with stuff. So that has a knock-on effect. You know, if she's not, you know, top notch, top of the game, whatever. That has a knock-on effect. My middle daughter, she has, you know, she's fairly. I was going to say versatile, but it's not. Robust. Making her sound like some kind of power tool. You know, generally she's fine, but then every now and then she has these sort of these blips, these moments, whatever. And then the youngest, right, she changes from 1 minute to the next. You know, that age where 1 minute they're laughing and the next minute it's the end of the world. Yeah. So I was apprehensive, as I always am. Sometimes rightly so. Sometimes maybe not as much. So this particular break, holiday, whatever you want to say, I felt I was proved wrong on this one. Had an amazing day on Thursday with my middle daughter, I like it when they're like my little buddies. The youngest, for various reasons, is often more like my little buddy. But yeah, I had a proper like a buddy day with my middle daughter. I really enjoyed it. It was really enjoyable. I find when she's on form, she's as I like to say to her, you are absolutely one of my favourite children. So yeah, not the best day with my eldest, but quickly managed to turn that around. Had a quick turnaround on that one, and it was all good from there out. And I mean, my youngest just, man, for better or worse, let's say, for better or worse, she just absolutely adores her sisters, for better or worse. You know, when she's standing on the arm of the armchair ready to do some kind of Superfly Jimmy Snooker off the top rope manoeuvre because 2 seconds ago she watched one of her older sisters do it, and all you as a parent can see is, you know, head trauma incoming. But just like, yeah, she's at that age where she just copies. So whatever one of them's doing, it's like, I'm going to do that. But I don't want it to be obvious that I'm copying, so I'll do it. You know, yes, I'm going to take my shoes and socks off, but not because the other one did it. So all in all, you know, time off, weekend, you know, the weekend was in there. It's not like we're going anywhere. You know, you've got this other added element that you're all in the house all the time. You know, we can't go to this and we can't go to that, we can't do this and we can't do that. And, you know, sometimes it's like, oh, let's go for a walk. Because, you know, at least we're allowed, you know, or at least we're in a position to do that. Yeah, that was a disaster in a lot of ways, and in other ways, you know, gets you out of the house, doesn't it? So it was a nice time. Yeah, good few days, good weekend, all that sort of stuff. My only regret was that I never said anything. I never said at the end of our time, I never said I had a really nice time, or it was a really nice time. The closest I got was I said to them, did you have a nice time? And they said yes. And then afterwards I was kicking myself. So I was like, I didn't say, oh, you know, I had a nice time. So I'll have to rectify that, because I find things like that are important. My mother always used to say to me, you should let people know when you're having a good time. And I think at the time it was a bit like, what? But it's always something that, you know, I've always looked at years on as a, yeah, it is. It's always, you know, it's good to say, I had a nice time, or I'm having a good time. You know, it's harder to say in the moment, but should it be? So that's the week in a nutshell. Since we last spoke, that's the week. What it does mean, unfortunately for you entertainment buffs, is a little bit less. Less is more. Not in this case, I'm afraid. But yes, a little bit less. I've only got one movie to talk about, and you'll not be surprised to hear it's a film I've seen before. You will also not be surprised to hear, I'm pretty sure I've done a review of this film previously, or at least spoken about it previously, or I might be lying. Not so much lying, but misremembering. I have watched another film and I was in the process of watching another film. Didn't get the third film, or the second, whichever way you look at it. I didn't get that one finished, so I don't feel I can talk about it. And the other one is so terrible. Do you know when you have that thing where you're like, that film was absolutely awful, but I feel like I need to watch it again just to like reaffirm. Like I did with Suicide Squad, and I had my mind changed. I didn't have my mind changed about Ghost Rider: Spirit of Vengeance. My word, that film is it's terrible. It's awful. So we're not going to talk about that. We're not going to talk about a film that I didn't finish watching. We are going to talk about the documentary Prescription Thugs. I had a huge boner for this film when it came out, because it's a sequel of sorts to a film that came before it, which was called Bigger, Stronger, Faster. Heavily featured I suppose the Bell family, but mostly the Bell brothers. There's like the older brother, the middle brother, and the little brother. And it was about steroids and trying to answer whether steroids were good, bad, or indifferent. And ultimately, a film that's like that sets out to be like steroids are bad, by the end of it, there was no definitive answer, and it was very much an in the middle kind of situation. Prescription Thugs is the same people, like I say, mostly the Bell brothers, but the mum and the dad. And it's talking about whether steroids are good, bad, or not. There is something out there that is much, much worse, and that's prescription drugs. Large reason about it being that the eldest brother died because of a prescription drug overdose. So that's that. Two things about this film that I feel is a bit of I just want to mention them. I don't want to dwell too much. Originally, when I saw this film, I was just like, fucking hell, man, it's a powerful thing, it's a powerful message, especially when it's so personal. A lot of these documentaries, it's not like there's a central character or a central family as such, but this does it. This guy, Chris Bell, who's a filmmaker, and that's that. The second one, his brother's died, and that's that. And then it reveals, this is a spoiler by the way, but it's kind of, it's a big-ish part of the film. It reveals that early on that he also has a prescription drug problem. He'd had I don't know if at that point he'd had one or both of his hips replaced. And ended up taking prescription drugs for the pain, and then that continued. And had issues with drugs, alcohol, and so on and so forth. The last third of the film is revealing that while he's making a film about prescription drugs and about the fact that his brother died and all these people that are affected in all these different ways by prescription drugs, that he is himself suffering with this prescription drug addiction, and ultimately there's a point where his girlfriend finds him nearly dead, and he goes to rehab, and then that's kind of the end of the film. And whereas previously when I'd watched it, I was very much like, oh, prescription drugs, oh, they're awful, oh, they're terrible. I'm not a big believer in I was going to say any kind of drugs. I don't take painkillers unless I've had a wisdom tooth pulled out. But wherever possible, I try not to take painkillers. So there's that. That's that. That's a much longer conversation, and there's probably a few other things that I would need to talk about to be able to have those conversations. But let's just say at this point in time, I don't take painkillers or any of that sort of stuff. Obviously, if I was in a situation where a doctor's like, I'm going to prescribe you some antibiotics, I'm not a big fan of antibiotics. But in a situation where, as I have been, I was prescribed antibiotics 2 or 3 times as an adult, and I really struggled with having to take them because of my opinions around these things. So, not a huge fan of this prescription drug epidemic that is, huge in America. Watching this film this time round, I was just struck with this feeling of, wow, what a complete and utter hypocrite. Rightly or wrongly so. But this guy, what I will say is I know these guys more since the films they're made. I've got both Chris and the youngest one's referred to as Smelly. I've got them both on Instagram, and they pop up. One of them pops up a lot more than the other, but they pop up a lot. They're big believers in the carnivore diet. But I was just like, man, you made this film about how awful prescription drugs are, and a section and a big part of this film is about how your brother died because of a prescription drug overdose, whilst pretty much the whole time making the film you were on these prescription drugs and you were suffering with this addiction. And then the film just ended so abruptly. I don't remember it ending as abruptly as it did, and I was just left a bit like dazed by watching this film this time round, and just being like, I'm not sure of the legitimacy of this film. So that was one thing. Something else, and it's a hot topic, and I don't mean the shop. So I'm going to have to keep it vague. However, we're talking prescription drugs. There is a section of this film which I feel is very poignant at this point in time, because a particular drug company comes up so far through the film, and this drug company makes this drug, and this drug does a certain thing, and it has a certain side effect. But hey, it's okay, because the same company's second most popular drug is something that will combat the side effect of the first one. They are, prescription drug companies make insane amounts of money, like crazy amounts of money. This particular company was at that time fined, I think it was $2.28 billion, which it said was the biggest fine any health company had ever been fined at that point in time. And it's just this section about this company that makes these drugs. What it said was they'd had this fine, this huge 2 billion fine, that then went on to say, however, the same company made $8 billion that year. And that company in question potentially viewed that as just the cost of doing business. If you make $8 billion, but you've got to give 2 to whoever, yep, your sticks $1 billion ahead. $1 billion. Then it talks about all of the things, the way they get drugs tested and trialed and FDA approved, and then how you can pay for FDA approval. Then there was this section of the film about how this particular company spent X amount of money. It worked out to, I think it was $440,000 per congressperson, and they had all these lobbyists to get Congress to push these drugs through that they're making, and these, there's all this stuff about there's a section about antidepressants and all of this stuff in that section about these companies are just making people sicker to so they can sell them stuff. And the drugs, things used to be cured, used to be given a cure. Nowadays you're given a lifetime diagnosis. It's this thing about some of these companies that were finding that the drug they were selling gave people something that was really bad. So they stopped selling it in America, took all the stock that they have of this particular drug and just sold it in other countries instead. France, Germany, the UK. So they're talking about this particular company, and they use this term big pharma to describe these companies and all this. So I found to be quite interesting was this company that was under all this scrutiny and paying out all this money but making all this money, and it showed their board of directors conference where they're just talking about how much money they're going to make and all of this. Was a particular company, and that particular company I've been in the news a lot recently because they are producing a particular vaccine, and I was watching a film I've seen before, but obviously I saw it a while ago, and being all right, okay, so yeah, there's that. Just thought it was interesting. Obviously I haven't used any names, but it was just watching this documentary and this company name comes up, and then it just reels off all the terrible things that this company has done, and then it talks about the money and the fines and how they go about getting drugs approved, and how the legitimacy of all of this stuff, and how it's just money, how these companies are addicted, they are themselves addicted to money, and just the not irony, but the fact of who this company was. I'm pretty sure I've seen that name recently. So yeah, Prescription Thugs is available on Amazon Prime right now. If you want to check it out, go nuts. Unfortunately, what I thought would have been sensible is I couldn't find Bigger, Stronger, Faster on there, because I would have watched that again, because I did enjoy it.
Let's talk some TV. I've watched one thing
on TV, and it's going to be no surprise what that one thing is. Maybe it's the thing that gave me this frog in the throat. I watched episode 5 of American Gods. Series 3 of American Gods. I've had this niggling feeling throughout Series 3 that I was going to have to admit to myself that American Gods isn't very good. I've been giving the series a big old pass because I've read the book. Picked the book up the other day to show my eldest something in it. I was looking through the beginning of the book and realised that there's a character in the beginning of the book who's also in the end of the book who I felt was probably quite an integral character. Absolutely not been in the show at any point in time. So that's the thing. So I watched episode 5. Nothing happened. I had this whole thing with the first series where I just wanted them to give me something more. Just give me something. You know, there was a lot of mystery involved, a lot of, you know, what does this mean and what does that mean and what does the other mean? And I was just like, man, I need you to give me something. Series 2 went a lot smoother, I seem to remember, but I've always had this feeling that it's just not very good. And it did that thing that I hate, that certainly American TV does, and I imagine all TV does it, but obviously as the majority of like these big budget TV shows, you know, it's all American. They give you a dull ass episode, 50 minutes of dull content, and the last 10 seconds of the episode is something interesting. Obviously I've spoken previously about the casting. This series, like Ian McShane has started to grate on me quite a bit. I've never been overly convinced of his casting in this series. It's really starting to wear thin. The Rick Witter, I think his name is. He's very good. I enjoy it. He's a very good casting. Someone I loathe. I loathe the character. I really don't like the actress that they've got playing a character that I really don't like. is the wife, or the dead wife. Yeah, I'm not a fan, and it annoys me when she's in it. So all of these things put together do not make for amazing TV viewing. When you then add to that this twofold thing of, one, they're not giving you anything, and two, at the point I was like, oh, this series should be really good because they're going to do a certain section of the book. They're just not doing it. Oh, you know, Shadow's got to go to live in this place. Alright, cool. Now we're talking. Now we're going to get some good stuff. Oh yeah, but he's never there. I've been giving this program a pass for a long time, but I am starting to feel like it's getting to a point where I'm maybe, it's not like I'm maybe going to have to stop watching it, but it's more of a, it's just not very good. It's just a bit boring, it's a bit dull. Did see that there's a new episode out today, and I'll probably end up watching it at some point this week, but I very much feel like it needs to give me something. A reason. Give me a reason. So, yeah. Okay, let's talk some computer games. I played Stormland on the VR. I think I mentioned previously about the fact that I've been playing it. I think I mentioned previously that there was for the amount that I want to love this game, and I do enjoy it. Throughout the entire experience, there's been this element of I don't really know what I'm doing, or I don't really know what I'm supposed to be doing. And as it's gone on, that element has kind of got worse. So up to a certain point, I was able to stumble through the game and just generally kind of get the game to progress in a forward motion. And that was fine. I was okay with that. It was that kind of, I really don't know what was going on or what I'm supposed to be doing, but I seem to be moving forward, so I'm okay with that. Unfortunately, that element has kind of ground to a halt. So I've reached this point where it's like, right, you need. There's a thing in this game that it's like you need keys to do variety of things. Open stuff usually, turn things on sometimes. I've been faced on the level I'm on with the fact that I need 4 keys. One is to open something. The other 3 is to power something up. I can't find any of them. And the game isn't telling me. Like, previously, the game would have been like, you need to find a load of stuff. Here's like 10 areas to go and look. So you go to each individual area and search that area until you find it. Job done. Not always would you find something. Some of the times you would, and then you'd be done. This level's like, you need these 4 keys for 2 different things. Good luck. So I'm just wandering around aimlessly, and you get these huge areas, and you get there and there's loads of robots, loads of big freaking robots on certain levels of these huge areas, and you're climbing up and you get to the next level and there's these huge robots, and you kill the huge robots and you kill all the other guys, and all of that, and then you go up another level, and then you get to the top and it's like, where's your key? I ain't got a key. Well, you can't open the thing then, can you? Guess not. Where was the key? I don't know. Okay, so then you start going back down this giant tower, having killed, probably 50 robots that are really not that easy to kill, especially the giant ones who've got shields and all of that. You go all the way down again. I didn't find a key. Where's the freaking key? Oh well, it's okay because I only need 3 others. And it's this. I really enjoy playing it. I really enjoy all of these different aspects to it. The climbing, the traversal through the clouds, the shooting, dismantling weapons, making, upgrading weapons, getting these different arms that have got these different abilities, and so on and so on and so on. But give us a clue. Bearing in mind, like I said, give us a clue because you previously gave us a clue. What happened to the clues? If you're like, you've got to find 4 keys, here are 10 areas to search, I will happily go and search those 10 areas. But if you're like, you need 4 keys, it's been very much a I don't know whether it's like a hand-holding thing, and basically they've just removed the hand-holding and kind of made you go off and do it. Something else that I've struggled with is, and this isn't necessarily to do with the game, VR games aren't like console games in the sense that you really struggle to get walkthroughs. I have really struggled to get a walkthrough for this game. So the other day I ended up on YouTube watching a video, and I finally managed to find like where I was up to in the game, and somebody had done a video. But it was one of those videos where somebody's obviously played that section of the game for like an hour, but they don't want to show you an hour's worth of gameplay, so they've cut it down to 20 minutes, even less, sometimes. So the video just jumps, and you're just like, well, where are you now? What are you doing now? How did you get there? How did you find that? It's that. So no matter how much I love it, how much I enjoy playing it, how much I enjoy the mechanics of the game, there is an element that I am really struggling to know what to do. It feels like I'm like, well, am I in the wrong place? No, because it wants me to do all the stuff it wants me to do in that area. So yes, there is that. I haven't played anything else VR wise because I'm really trying to like knuckle down with Stormland, but as you can maybe see, that is presenting himself to be a little difficult. I'll stick at it, but if I get to the point, it's a bit sort of like much more of this, and I'm probably going to have to look at playing something else from the backlog of VR games. So yeah, now let's talk some console games. Not super happy joy console gaming this week, unfortunately. So I've been playing Assassin's Creed Valhalla, as we know, but do not fret, dear listener, reader, watcher. It's not the only game I've played this week, but there's a reason for that. Playing Valhalla, two things I've struggled with in that game. One, there's something really off about the story. So your character spends all of this time doing this particular thing, and you're just hell bent doing this thing. But then any time you seem to come into contact with like people from your village, they're like, oh, how are you getting on with that thing? And you're like, oh yeah, I'm really trying. And then they're like, are you? Because you don't sound like you are. Oh no, I am. I really am. Take one step out of that village, and the character you're playing as is like, I'm going to burn everything to the freaking ground unless I get the thing I'm trying to do. Go back to the village. How's that thing going? Oh yeah, trying really hard. Trying. It's this bizarre disconnect between the two things. I'm starting to think there's maybe a reason for it, but at the same time I'm like, is the reason bad writing? Is that the reason? Second issue I've had is it's become quite repetitive. Let's face it, if you make a massive open world, you fill it with X number of things to do, and those things are the same, what's the point in having a big open world with all of these possibilities if you're just doing the same thing over and over again? It's going to become boring pretty quick. It tells me that I've been playing it for about 40 hours. Now, anything with the name Assassin's Creed on nowadays, you're looking to you can safely say it's a 100-hour game. So at the point that I'm 40 hours in, and I'm already like, yeah, you're getting a bit repetitive, I'm afraid. The last one. Now then, how are they named? There was Assassin's Creed Origins. What's the one in between? I don't think I own it anymore, so I can't even look. I think it went in the big game purge. Oh man, it was Origins, and it was, I'm sure it was another O. So I mean, we're gonna have to look it up, because otherwise we're just Assassin's Creed Valhalla. No, Assassin's Creed, not cred. O, Odyssey. It was an O as well. For all that was wrong with Odyssey, I still maintain to this day that Odyssey should not have had the Assassin's Creed name on it. They should have done it as a standalone game, maybe like a little bit of a spin-off. I rated that game as my game of the year that year. Will that have been 2019? Can I find out really quickly? I want to say it was 2019. It was a successor to 2018. Initial release date October 2018. Wow. For all of the fact that I honestly thought that it shouldn't have been an Assassin's Creed game and it should have been more of maybe a spin-off, because it really didn't have any Assassin's Creed elements. Namely, they took away the hidden blade. The moment you do that, it's not Assassin's Creed. It was well over 100 hours. But it was fresh. Each mission was different. And like I say, wrongly so, I think I gave it Game of the Year for that year. And that was because I was so annoyed with everybody gushing over other games, God of War, Spider-Man and stuff like that, which I saw as games that at that time had issues. And I believe I've corrected that review since. Valhalla is just go here, use the bird to find the area you need, go to that area, talk to person, and then it's usually like, you know, go somewhere else or kill the person you're talking to or do whatever, you know, you've come here and the person you look for isn't here, go somewhere else, and it's just that. All of the stuff culminates in siege this castle. And I was talking about it today and I was like, but it's okay, because if you don't want to siege the castle, you can spice your game up by doing a raid, completely separate to the main story. Go and raid a village, which usually involves sieging a castle. And it's that you can do this or you can do that, but ultimately they're both the same. And ultimately you've done it 10 times already. And it's just, it feels very much like this was a game that was hell-bent on capitalising on another game's success, cough cough God of War, that they forgot to put enough content in. So that's enough Assassin's Creed bashing for now, because it doesn't get much better from here. I needed a break from it. So I took a game I installed it with the intention of playing it, which I did. But we're not going to talk about that game now. We're going to talk about a different game. Last night, I'm like, do you know what? I've put Valhalla to one side for just a moment, because I will go back to it, and go back to it fairly soon. And I played another game, but I'm not sure that that's really the game that I want to be playing right now. Let's go back to the backlog and see what I've not finished. Oh, here we go. Avengers. That game is terrible. That game is awful. It's the game version of hitting yourself in the face with a spade. It's that. How they managed to get it so freaking wrong. It's like, do you want to do a Hulk story mission? Yeah, that sounds like an interesting thing to do. The story mission for the Hulk is 24 levels higher than your Hulk. Oh, okay. What can I do about that? Oh, what you can do is you can play the same mission over and over and over and over again until you get Hulk up to at least level 20 before you want to peel the skin off your face, because just playing the same mission over and over again, and that mission's quite dull. Alright, now what? I mean, that's it, innit? Alright, okay, well, how about I change to Iron Man? Because I haven't done all of Iron Man's missions. Oh yeah, but first you need to do a challenge. Right, fine, okay. I'll go and do one of these dull as fuck missions. But I'll complete the challenge while I'm there. Alright, good lad, you do that. Alright, go. So I go off, playing as Iron Man, doing the mission. I managed to do the challenge. There we go. Cool, I've done it. Right, where's the Iron Man mission? What Iron Man mission? Well, you complete the challenge, you get the Iron Man mission. Don't know what you're talking about, mate. Alright, cool. That's awesome, is that? Right, sod it. Let's play the Thor missions. I've done a couple of Thor story missions. All I need to know is what his challenges are. I'll complete his challenges, get more story missions. Let's play as Thor. Who's Thor again? Thor. You know Thor. You are aware of Thor's existence. Who's that then? Where are his missions? Oh, I don't know what you're talking about. At this point, I was proper like blood was pouring out of the top of my head because it was boiling, and I was just like, how the fuck did you get this so wrong? Fear not, because it's Square Enix, isn't it? They've announced the best news, the best possible news you could hope for. You've got yourselves a really shit game. Like, it's beyond fathomable how terrible this game is. So you've got that. Here's what we're going to do for you. This is a company that lost $46 million on this game, but they never blamed this game. It's just coincidence. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to give you a new character. Soon. Not yet, but soon. Oh, okay. Which character's that? You'll never believe it. Marvel Avengers. Yeah? You'll never believe it. Brace yourself. Here it comes. we're going to give you Hawkeye. Yeah, you're going to do that, are you? Okay, let's review, shall we? We've got a terrible game. And what you think is going to make it better is one of the worst characters. Do I dare say ever? I mean, Hawkeye is passable in the films. But there's the one of the Avengers movies where he runs out of arrows. And then it is literally like, yeah, what is it? What is it you bring to the party now? That's their solution for this shit show of a game. So I'm like, right, this game can do one. Let's go back to the game that I installed the other day, that I played the other day, but I didn't give it I didn't really give it a chance because I was tired. Let's put that on. So, ladies and gentlemen, having had it since Christmas Day, and it's not to date this or anything, but it's the 22nd of February today, I finally installed Cyberpunk 2077. Possibly the biggest patch I've ever seen. Took 2 days to get the patch installed, and I had to leave the PlayStation running for the majority of the second of those 2 days. 46 gig patch needed to be installed. The game itself, even just putting the disc in, there's like, it's one of the few games that I've seen in a while where you get 2 discs. One's the data disc and one's the play disc. So even installing the disc took a good, could have been in the region of like an hour or something. Read a review the other day because basically I wanted to know if it worked on the PS4. And a lot of what I was seeing was saying, yeah, pretty much it does. However, whether it works or not doesn't take away from the fact that it's not a very good game. Now, if you, like me, are like, how can that be? This game was, it was hyped so much, and it was this and the other, but it had all of these problems and these issues and this stuff, and that was what was wrong with it. How are you now saying that you've been able to play it, and what you found is that whether the game's got problems or not, technically got problems or not, it's not a very good game? That doesn't seem to make a lot of sense. Admittedly, the review went on to say that the guy can't stop playing it because under the buried deep under layer upon layer upon layer of garbage is a good core game, and he was like, I really wish that they'd have got rid of all the shit and just made a good game instead, polished the core and made it a good game. So I'm like, reviews are reviews, let's face it, there's only one way to find out. Put it on the other night, but like I say, I was tired, I wanted to go to bed. And I felt that's what was causing me problems with Cyberpunk 2077. Because my opinion of it was, oh my god, what a hot, steaming mess this game is. So, you go to bed, you sleep on it, you play a bit of Avengers to make you really realise what terrible, terrible, terrible games exist in the world. Well, let's face it can't be as bad as that, can it? Let's give Cyberpunk 2077 another go. Sit down, game in, there we go, freshly charged controller, all of that. And off we go. It's not a good game. Number one, top of the pops, right in at number one, with a bullet, is this little ditty. It's dull. It is boring. Caveat, I've only just started playing this game. I'm in the first couple of hours. So there's that. I get it. Don't fret. freaking normal, it's dull. Do you know what I want from my computer games nowadays? I want somebody to talk at me for hours on end. That's what I want. That's a gaming experience. It's okay though, because you can brighten your day by getting dialogue options, just the one. But it's an option, and as we know, an option requires you to press a button, so just the same button over and over again. So if somebody talks at you, you press a button to say whatever the friggin' hell he's on about. Then they talk at you for another God knows how long. Then, let's spice this up. Why don't you press the same button again to say some other bullshit? Okay, cool. Let's do some training. Do you want to do some training? Let's do some training. Alright, here we go. Here's a load of training scenarios that don't seem to apply to the real world in any way, shape or form. Okay. We're going to explain them to you, but not so you feel like you understand our explanation. Is that good? I mean, yeah, I guess. Cool, because that's what we're going to do. Do this training. Alright, I'm doing it. Do you feel like you're understanding what's going on? Not really. Cool, that's the objective here. So we get a bit further into the game, backwards and forwards, we go to bed, get up, play it again the next day. There was definitely a point where I fell asleep, because let's not forget, it takes an ice age to load, and what you're loading is a dull as fuck conversation between really, really two-dimensional characters. So there's that. But this guy who did this review was right. Buried deep, really deep, there might be a good game in there. However, to find it, you've got to go through layer upon layer upon layer upon layer of just utterly bonkers game mechanics. Oh, we're gonna show you this thing. It's a really cool feature. It's CCTV, but you can rewind it. Ah, yeah, that's new. And then you can pinpoint locations to do to find out more about the area. Ah, yeah. Do you want to know what that area sounds like? Yeah. Do you want to know what it looks like in thermal vision? I guess. Okay, cool. Do you like that? Yeah, I mean it's fine. All right. Now we're going to put you in a real life scenario and give you no fucking help whatsoever. So all we're going to do is tell you that you're doing it wrong constantly. That was an enjoyable experience. It's a hot, steaming mess. Yet again, the lovely people at CD Projekt Red have obviously taken a leaf out of the Square Enix guy's book, and you're just left scratching your head on the how have you possibly managed to get this game so wrong. I will caveat this again by saying I've only just started playing it. Yeah. Got an upgrade early on. The guy's like, this upgrade will let you interact with your gun so you can see how much ammo you've got. Yeah. Because up to that point, you had no way of knowing how much ammo you had. And past that point, you gained the ability to know how much ammo you've got. A game mechanic that has been in existence since the dawn of time. It's alright though, because Cyberpunk 2077 is going to make it feel special for you. And this is where we're at. games-wise. This is where we're at games-wise. Dull, monotonous gaming experiences that we want you to play on the next generation of consoles, which you can't get hold of, and even if you could, you'd be paying through the nose for them. And yeah, you know, it might look slightly better, but it's not going to run any better. And you know, we've got lots of games coming on in the future. Obviously, I can't think of a single one off the top of my head. So this is what we've got. I even reached a point where I was like, maybe I'll just go back and play Spider-Man Miles Morales again, because at least that was enjoyable. Yeah, you know, like I said at the time, it was just a reskin and a little bit of, you know, tweaking the other game here and there. But at least it was enjoyable. It was an enjoyable playing experience. You know, so I said I was going to go back and play Hitman 3 again. So there we go. Unfortunately, as happens every now and then, it's a little bit of doom and gloom this week, I'm afraid. Yeah, just a little down on things. Not like, you know, life, just like entertainment. What was that thing? Are you not entertained? No, I am not entertained. There you go. That is the podcast for this week. Sorry for the doom and gloom. What I can tell you is this week, next week, and upcoming weeks in the future, we're going to be seeing some new podcasts. Weirdly though, you will have had those new podcasts before you hear this. So do think I should probably do something about that. Yeah, well, I'll look into that. Anyway, thank you very much. Thank you for sitting through this one, the doom and gloom sessions, as it'll be known. So yeah, thank you very much. Bye bye. So there you go. What do you think to that? Another one done. Yep, another one done. Poof. YouTube watchers, go on, be a love and subscribe. Means the world to us. Anybody listening on SoundCloud or iTunes, pretty sure you can subscribe there as well. And that way, you know, we feel the love. Everybody jump over to thecookiecast.com, check us out over there, drop us a line on social media, or even drop us an email. So that's it for this one. Till next time, I'm going to say bye, and I'll see you then. Bye-bye.